I'm going to share with you how I set up my kids' student binders for 4th and 2nd grade using Seton Home Study. Before I set up the binders, I decide which subjects I'm going to keep intact and which workbooks I'm going to turn into worksheets that go in the binders. How I decide which ones will go in the binder are the ones that require a lot of writing on the pages and work to be done, like math, vocabulary, spelling, phonics, geography, handwriting. And this time around, I'm also adding science and reading into the binders, just judging from our experience last year. So how I settled on using this system is just from a lot of trial and error of last year. I found it much easier to have everything in one place instead of digging up all these workbooks and fumbling through these pages. And it makes it so easy to just have everything in one place, take it from room to room, from the table to the couch, or if we need to go on the go or do school at the library or at the park, it's easy. You just grab this and maybe a couple of workbooks, and we're on our way. So the way that Seton arranges their lesson plans is that they divide it into 4 quarters, and each quarter has 9 weeks. So this has everything that they need for first quarter, or almost everything. Most workbooks will end up in here, but there are a couple, such as English and religion, that I like to keep as is because there's a lot of referencing back into previous lessons throughout the book, or we just like to reference back into them, and it makes it easier if they stay intact. Now here, I'm going through my lesson plans and each of the subjects that are going to end up in the student binders. I'll skip to the end of the quarter so that I can check what chapter and what page that they should be ending on. I'll go through each of the workbooks for each kid and mark that page with a sticky index tab. Once I'm done, I go ahead and start carefully tearing out the pages. Now, Seton's workbooks are already perforated, most of them, so it makes it pretty easy. I'll just tear them out until I get to that index sticky tab, and I will move the tab to the front and it will serve as our marker. Then I just rinse and repeat. Everything went smooth up until now, but you might find that some parts of this process might be a little unglamorous. You'll find that maybe one of the workbooks or a couple of them might not be well perforated. So my advice would be to be very careful in tearing them out and tear them toward the binding so that you don't ruin any of the parts that need to be read or written on. And then you can come back with a Fisker paper cutter and just slice off those rough edges and then hole punch and put them in the binder as usual. So here's what that looks like. For example, math, and we haven't started school yet, so this sticky note tab is on the first page. And as we move along in the subjects, we'll just move the sticky tab onto whatever page they're on so that it makes it easy to flip to where we are at the time. Finally, here is where they live on the shelf. I keep them laying down, one side for the 2nd grader and the other side for the 4th grader, and it's really easy for them to access. Here we keep all of our readers, catechisms, chapter books, and other books we plan to get throughout our homeschooling career. And here are the workbooks with the remaining pages inside, waiting to be turned into worksheets as soon as the new quarter rolls around. Another plus to this student binder system is that each quarter feels like a fresh start. Once we're done, I'll put away their finished work and roll over any unfinished work, which I'll get to in a sec, into the new quarter binder and do the process of turning the workbooks into worksheets all over again. The way Seton's lesson plans are set up is that it is a quarter system, but it's only a suggestion and a guideline for parents. When you're fully enrolled, I believe you have 14 months to complete the school year, so you may go through the lesson plans as you see fit. Seton emphasizes that each family and child are different and that we as parents know our child best. For example, You can slow down on an area that's a little more challenging for your child in order to let them catch up or master them, or quicken the pace on an area where your child has mastered the topic to the level of their understanding. And that's what I meant about rolling over any unfinished work into the new quarter. To give you an idea of flexibility, some families like to school all year round, so 14 months really works out. For my family in particular, I like to get our suggested 9 weeks of work done within about a 10-week period, just because I like the accountability and just in case something comes up or we want to take a break or whatever, when we stretch it out, we will have a lot of cushion to work with in terms of the calendar year. And I also want to make sure that we don't fall behind in the long run. But having said that, I don't rush my child to get things done when she needs more time on an area. I can talk more about pace and more about Seton's philosophy and my experience about how we pace our lessons in another video. I learned a lot in my first year and I'm adjusting, and I think that every year will be an adjustment. But for now, I hope that this helps some of you homeschooling moms and dads. God bless.